friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're continuing our inner healing series on the key. Hopefully you guys are reading along with me. Today's episode is going to be about reparenting groups. If you're interested in creating a community where you can build more connection with people and also understand yourself a little better, I think this is fabulous. Today we're just going to be talking about rules for these groups because we want to make sure people are doing this in a healthy way. We don't want to add to the trauma and the dysfunction. As we've been talking about, most people with trauma have not been listened to as children. This is just common. Most parents did not allow their kids to verbalize their thoughts or their feelings. And this can happen in many homes, and it could be a cultural thing or it could be a personality thing. However it's working out, it's actually not healthy for a human being to hold things in. Being listened to is really important because what it does is it adds to a person's self-worth and value. When people are paying attention to what we're saying, it means the essence of who we are is being seen. There's something very healing about being seen, and there's something very detrimental about being ignored. We want to foster an environment where the stuff that has been done in childhood, the pushing down, the ignoring, the bypassing is ending. We're learning not only to listen to other people, but how to reclaim our voice, or even how to find our voice to begin with. Sometimes when people who haven't been listened to for years and years, they get awkward and uncomfortable. They just need people to practice speaking in front of. This is a really exciting way to heal and grow and learn and understand. I think this is super powerful. Medical journals can actually back me up here. Repressed emotions can affect your body in a really negative way. So here are some of the house rules. Number one is there's no crosstalk in the meetings. It's important to hold back your comments or responses and just let that person unload without stopping them. And I know that's hard sometimes when people are going on, if they are crying and you're not understanding what they're saying or you need clarification, but this is about them. It's not necessarily about us receiving all the information in a super clear way. It's about us giving this person the time and the space to share their heart and let them feel someone is sitting with them and being fully present with them. Because when we do that, their feelings of unworthiness and worthlessness begin to break off. And the only way to actually get that part healed is to be sitting with them in that moment. Disrupting the flow of them speaking is really not a good way to do this. The author of this book says that he believes expressing your feelings actually heals the heart, and releasing unexpressed negative emotions releases negative energy. So another thing that everybody in the group needs to do is mirror that person. After that person shares, everybody in that circle goes around. So what they're doing is what's called reflective listening. It's synchronizing with that person's emotional state, listening to the pain that they're going through, and basically repeating back their experience. Let's say the scenario is this person said, I got in this car accident and I saw these horrible things. I just began to have a panic attack. They're explaining the situation, but I want you to pay attention to the emotional state and how certain things had triggered something emotional in that person. It's not really relying back factual information that's important. What we want to do is connect heart to heart with people. So you need to be in tune with what their heart is saying to you. I think that's really important to get across because I have done talk therapy where someone can logically explain to me my problem and I'm like, I agree with everything you're saying, but because that person hasn't stepped with me in that experience, I still feel empty and lost and unseen. For me, mirroring has been way more healing than talk therapy. So another rule is to only share what you feel in the present. This empowers you to stay connected to the now and not the past. I know we're going back into the past, but what we're really doing is processing how that past makes you feel in the present. Usually if the emotions are very high, it'll almost be like you're living through that emotional state all over again. It will empower the person to stay present and stay available for themselves to know they can get through this now now. We're bringing up this memory and then we're talking in real time of how that memory is making us feel. There will be sensations in your body that I feel are important to say, hey, I feel this tightness in my chest. It's getting hard to breathe. Sharing your body experiences is another dimension that makes this a little more real. Another rule is no fixing, giving advice, judgments, or conditions. If you do this, then this will happen. I don't understand why you're just not doing that. Well, I can understand why your mom is acting that way because you're doing this. Or, well, I would do this if I were in that situation. Now we're making it about us. We don't want to fix anyone because we don't want anyone to feel broken. This process of going through emotions, even though the person might feel like they're breaking and they're emotionally sensitive, they're not broken. They are a real human being having a real human experience, and it's hard. If we treat people like they're broken, it's not empowering. And it's also not useful. Everybody can do the work to get more whole. So we are validating people's personal experience and pain by loving and accepting them. What happened in childhood is they got dismissed. Oh, your problem's not that big of a deal. I don't know why you're being so dramatic. We never want to repeat that pattern that has taught this person they're not valuable, they're not worthy. We want to be very sensitive to love them and accept them where they're at, to validate what they went through was real and how they feel is how they feel. They don't need to explain themselves or justify anything. They just need to be. And when a person can just be who they are and be loved, that is healing. Another rule is we're not going to be sharing what we're hearing. Anything you hear, you don't talk outside of the group. So even if you hang out with these people outside of the group, you want to keep that reparenting group a sacred, special place. And you also want to have your friendships be in a healthy place as well. It's good to just say, let's save talking about that for when we go to the reparenting group. That way you can have a little bit of separation. Being part of a group like this will show you how to be a good support, how to be a good friend, how to be a good listener. Of course, ideally, we would like to choose who's in our group, right? What we're sharing is very emotional, it's very tender and vulnerable, but we can't control sometimes who's in our group. Let's say you're doing this at a church. They can't customize a group because you don't like this person and whatever. I think there's a certain measure of trust and faith that if God has brought this across your path and given you an opportunity to be a part of a healing group, to just lean into trusting Him. He's going to work something out in you. Things might not work perfectly, but maybe that's exactly what you need to begin to learn how to live and work with other people. Some people are almost so controlling, they cannot let go enough to receive the healing that something like this can provide because they want to micromanage who's in the group and who's listening to their stuff. Part of the process is trusting the process, right? Not knowing how it's all going to work out and yet trusting that God has something for you despite it all. I would just encourage you to give it a try, even if you can't control who's in the group. That's my 2 cents on it. I'm really looking forward to next week's episode, which is the last episode. We will be concentrating a little bit more on the biblical reasons why this journey is so God-given. This actual process is from the Bible. I'm going to back all of it up in God's Word. Come back and let's hear what God has to say about this type of healing. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.